Right guys, my name is Dr. Wajid Khan. We'll be dealing with this topic of opthal, which involves the lacrimal apparatus and the orbit. In the lacrimal apparatus, we need to discuss about the lacrimal structure or the lacrimal gland, right? Guys, you can zoom in over here and you can look over here. This is the lacrimal gland. Lacrimal gland. From here, the tears are being produced and then they go from the eye to nasal canaliculi, the superior and inferior nasal canaliculi. From the nasal canaliculi, first the tears are being produced from the lacrimal gland. They go into a structure called as punctum. From the punctum, they go into the canaliculi, the superior and inferior canaliculi. From there, it goes into the lacrimal sac and then ultimately leading to what? The nasolacrimal duct. Very important structure in the lacrimal apparatus is the NLD, nasolacrimal duct. Okay? So guys, I have told you about nasolacrimal duct. Acquired nasolacrimal duct obstruction could be seen as a side effect of timolol and all. Timolol, okay? Anyways, we are discussing about nasolacrimal duct. The nasolacrimal duct is 18 mm. How much mm, guys? It is 18 mm in length, in which the 12 mm is the bony prominent. The upper 12 mm is the bony prominent and the lower 86 mm is the membranous prominent. And this nasolacrimal duct opens into the inferior meatus. It opens into the inferior meatus. So once again, we are discussing about what? We are discussing about the lacrimal apparatus. Lacrimal apparatus usually starts with the lacrimal sac, from where the tears flow into the punctum. From the punctum, it opens into the canaliculi, the superior and the inferior canaliculi. That opens into the lacrimal sac, ultimately leading to nasolacrimal duct. So nasolacrimal duct, it is 18 mm. The upper 12 mm is the bony and the lower 6 mm is the membranous, which opens into the inferior meatus of the nose, right? So any infection of the nasolacrimal duct is called as Dacryocystitis. Dacryocystitis. So we are discussing about a condition called as chronic Dacryocystitis. Chronic Dacryocystitis meaning what? It's a chronic low-grade inflammation of the lacrimal sac as well as the nasal. Just look over here, guys. Just look over here. We'll start from here. Chronic Dacryocystitis. We'll just start from here. Right, cut that. We'll start from here means we'll cut 1 minute part, last 1 minute part, and we'll start from here. So look over here. We'll start from Dacryocystitis. What is chronic Dacryocystitis? Chronic Dacryocystitis meaning what, guys? Due to some inflammation of the lacrimal sac, there is obstruction in the nasolacrimal duct. That is called as Dacryocystitis. So chronic low-grade inflammation of the lacrimal sac that leads to obstruction of the nasolacrimal duct. That is called as Dacryocystitis. Here, as the duct is getting obstructed, what will happen, guys? Can the tears, remember guys, can the tears come over here? No. So what will happen? There will be obstruction over here. If there is obstruction over here, remember some of the tears goes into the nasolacrimal duct and they will get absorbed. So just look over here. If the duct is getting obstructed, what will happen? The tears won't flow into the duct. And what will happen? The tears will flow from the eye. The patient will have the complaining of tearing of the eye, which is called as epiphora. The treatment is what, guys? We need to go for dacryocystitis. We need to repair the lacrimal duct with the sac, which is called as dacryocystitis. So once again, guys, we are discussing about chronic Dacryocystitis, which is the inflammation of the nasolacrimal duct. Basically, it's a sac that is causing obstruction of the nasolacrimal duct. That is called as chronic Dacryocystitis. How will you treat this chronic Dacryocystitis? The treatment of choice is dacryocystitis. Dacryocystitis. Now next, coming to the orbit. We have already discussed about the orbit, guys. Orbit is basically the volume of the orbit is 30 ml, in which the eyeball volume is 6 ml, in which the vitreous volume is 4 ml. Orbit is having 4 walls. The superior wall, the inferior, the nasal and the temporal. The strongest is the temporal, the weakest is the nasal wall. And the wall that usually develops a blowout fracture due to a fist trauma or a cricket ball injury that leads to blowout fracture is called as the inferior wall. So remember guys, the strongest is the lateral wall or the temporal wall. The weakest is the medial wall. The weakest is the medial or the nasal wall. The wall which is most frequently damaged or wall which is most frequently damaged in the blowout fracture is the inferior wall. Inferior wall or the floor of the orbit. Now we are discussing about the blowout fracture. Guys, remember, blowout fracture usually happens due to any fist injury or a cricket ball injury, right? It involves the inferior wall. The fracture of the orbital floor or the inferior wall without involvement of the rim of the orbit. The rim of the orbit is not involved. Just the orbital floor or the inferior wall is involved. That is called as a blowout fracture. That can be seen due to blunt trauma due to fist or cricket ball injury. What are the clinical features of blowout fracture? The intraorbital pressure rises. Apart from intraorbital pressure rises, you might have seen after any fist injury to the eye, you will see blackening of the eye, that is called as blackening near the eye, which is called as ecchymosis. You might see what? The eyeball getting interned, that is called as enophthalmos. Movement of the interning of the eyeball is called as enophthalmos, right? Apart from that, what else you can see? Basically what I am telling is, you might see ecchymosis, you might see enophthalmos. Due to this enophthalmos and ecchymosis, the patient may have, due to this trauma to the eye, the patient will complain of what? Diplopia. Patient will complain of what? Diplopia. And sometimes you might see subcutaneous emphysema. Basically guys, you imagine a boxing match. There are two boxers fighting and one boxer uses his fist to punch the other person and he has developed the blowout fracture of the orbit involving the inferior wall. Now what will happen guys? What will be his features? You will see blackening of the eye, that is ecchymosis. You will see what? Apart from that, the eye will be in due to this edema and all, the eye moves a bit inside. This boxer will also have what? Enophthalmos. He complains of diplopia and you will see there is swelling near the subcutaneous tissue over here. That is called as subcutaneous emphysema, right? When you send this patient for an X-ray, you will see an appearance called as hanging drop appearance or a teardrop appearance. Hanging drop appearance or a teardrop appearance. The appearance that you see over here is hanging drop appearance or a teardrop appearance. How will you treat a patient who is coming with blowout fracture of the orbit? The treatment is, you have to go for surgical reconstruction of the orbit. Surgical reconstruction of the orbital floor. That is regarding the orbital blowout fracture, right? The next thing or the last thing is called as orbital cellulitis. What is orbital cellulitis guys? First of all, remember, why is this orbital cellulitis seen? If the patient is suffering with sinusitis, ethmoidal sinusitis by some staph aureus, that staph aureus can go and cause a problem called as orbital cellulitis. But what is this orbital cellulitis? Where is this happening? Orbital cellulitis is the inflammation of the orbit behind the septum. Orbital cellulitis is the infection or inflammation of the orbit behind the orbital septum. The most common causes of orbital cellulitis is ethmoidal sinusitis. And what is the organism guys? Staph aureus. Staph aureus reaches the orbital septum or behind the orbital septum. Staph aureus goes behind the orbital septum and causes infection of the orbit called as orbital cellulitis. How will you treat this orbital cellulitis? Treatment of orbital cellulitis is giving the patient IV vancomycin. IV vancomycin needs to be given. Now guys, if you don't treat this orbital cellulitis, what will happen? That staph aureus might reach the cavernous sinus and cause infection of the cavernous sinus that leads to thrombus formation in it. So remember, the most serious complication of orbital cellulitis is what? If not treated, it can lead to cavernous sinus thrombosis. It can lead to cavernous sinus thrombosis, right? There is a condition called as proptosis. You know what is proptosis? Proptosis is eyeball has propted out. Eyeball has come out. Such as in the case of Graves' disease, you see proptosis and all, right? Thyroid disease or Graves' disease, you may see proptosis. So if a child is coming with proptosis, okay, if a child is coming with unilateral proptosis, only one eye is being proptosed. The most common cause of unilateral proptosis in a child is orbital cellulitis. But if the child is coming with both eyes being popped out, if the child is coming with bilateral proptosis, the most common cause of it is neuroblastoma. Unilateral proptosis in a child, it is due to orbital cellulitis. Bilateral proptosis is due to what? Neuroblastoma. What if then adult comes with what if the adult comes with proptosis? So we have discussed proptosis, unilateral and bilateral causes. Whereas if the adult is coming either with unilateral or bilateral proptosis, the common cause is the thyroid disease or the Graves' disease, right? So the common cause of proptosis in adults is thyroid related ophthalmopathy. So once again guys, proptosis is protrusion of the eyeball is called as proptosis. In children, if a child is having unilateral proptosis, the common cause is orbital cellulitis. If a child is having bilateral proptosis, the cause is neuroblastoma. And if the adult comes with proptosis, the cause is thyroid ophthalmopathy or Graves' disease. Okay. Thank you guys. That's for the day.